The processor is the brain and coordinates the whole computer, that's cooled by a heatsink. The graphic card are render component. Two types of memory, RAM and storage drive. The motherboard that connects everything together. The small battery that powers the BIOS. The case in which everything will be installed. And finally, the power supply unit, which will provide power to all components mentioned above.
Hey, don't forget to be careful. We use gloves so we don't dirty the components or their contacts. We also use an anti-static wrist strap to protect the components from static electricity. The metal part should touch your skin. The clip needs to be attached to something metal, preferably a grounded object. You also should never handle components while the computer is powered on. And when plugging in your PC, make sure your outlets are grounded.
As for tools, we will need screwdrivers, scissors, and pliers. And for materials, thermal paste and zip ties. We will start our building by installing the CPU onto the motherboard.
The motherboard allows all the components to communicate with each other, and it also distributes power from the power supply. The CPU is the main computing power of the computer. It executes instructions received from the RAM.
To install the CPU correctly, we need to look at the marker in the corner of the CPU and match it with the marker on the corner of the socket. After installation, lower the arm back down.
During the build we might need a shorthand, but unfortunately we don't have time to explain how to grow one.
The heatsink is mainly used to cool the CPU, and it also helps move hot air through the system. Heatsinks often have different installation methods, so check the manuals.
You must apply thermal paste between the heatsink and the CPU to ensure efficient heat transfer.
Otherwise, the CPU has a high risk of overheating and failing. Now let's install the RAM memory.
RAM stores the data the CPU is actively working with. The modules are inserted into DIMM slots.
Open the memory slot latch.
The module has a special notch, so you can't insert it incorrectly. Our motherboard supports dual channel, meaning two memory modules can work simultaneously for higher performance.
Since we only have 2 slots, we just install both tricks, but usually there are 4 slots, and the modules need to be installed in separate channels, meaning the second and fourth slot, or the first and third. Carefully press the RAM in until it clicks. Now let's install the CMOS battery.
Power the memory that stores the BIOS settings and system time even when the computer is unplugged.
Usually a 3V CR2032 battery is used. You can check the voltage with a multimeter, which is exactly what we did. We'll be installing the M2 NVMe SSD into our system.
This is a fast storage drive that holds the operating system, programs and files.
Unlike SATA drives, it doesn't need separate cables. Everything's connected directly to the motherboard.
It installs right here, into the M2 slot. Remove the mounting clip and insert the drive at an angle. Then press it down and secure it with the clip.
Before installing the motherboard, we need to install the rare metal input-output shield into the case.
You also need to check the motherboard standoff positions. They must line up with the holes on the motherboard.
Since our standoffs don't match, we're moving them to fit our motherboard.
The motherboard ports must align with the openings in the metal plate. It shall be installed firmly so it doesn't wobble or touch the case anywhere except at the mounting points.
Now let's install the case fan.
Air enters from the sticker side and exits from the opposite side. The rear fan exhausts hot air out of the case.
And the CPU fan directs airflow straight at the processor.
The power supply has its own cooling system as well. It directs the air straight upwards.
Now let's move to the power supply. It comes with a lot of cables. This is a 44-pin ATX motherboard cable. Now we connect a 4+4-pin CPU power cable. And this is a Molex fan power cable.
Now let's put the power supply into the case. You can tell which side it should face by looking at the label.
Now let's install the graphics card.
The graphics card is responsible for rendering graphics and outputting the image.
A GPU can be integrated into the processor or motherboard. Unlike integrated graphics, a discrete graphics card has its own processor and memory.
Graphics cards may require separate power connections, but our model does not need additional power.
Now let's connect the internal cables. This connector is for motherboard power. This is the USB 3.0 cable. Now the USB 2.0 cable. And next, the audio output cable.
It's also very important to connect the heatsink power cable, otherwise we'll have cooling problems with the CPU.
And don't forget the CPU power cable itself.
Next, we connect the front panel wires. They control the power button, reset button, and the case indicator lights.
You can check how to connect the front panel wires in the motherboard manual.
Don't forget about the fan either. The Molex cable also powers the case's sliding. This white Molex jumper is required for the lighting to work.
Here you can see the opening that let us secure the wires using zip ties.
There is plenty of space behind the case for cable management. Neat cable routing improves airflow and makes computer easier to maintain.
And it reduces the risk of a fan hitting something. Now, after finishing the cable management, we test that all the components are working, and then close the back panel of the case.
Here is our iron horse.
After the build is complete, we turn on the computer and enter the BIOS.
The BIOS checks the hardware before the system starts. It also lets you change the basic system settings.
Here we can make sure the computer detects the memory and the processor.
In advanced mode we can weave more detailed information. Here we can see that a Kingston SSD is installed in the M2 slot.
Now let's install the operation system. We click Install Ubuntu and select the option we need. Now we wait for the installation to finish.
And now the system is installed. Let's test the audio and video.